Welcome to the webinar, Peak Season Readiness. How to capture more rentals without breaking your operations. Brought to you by the Storage Group. We have over 15 years of experience of working with self-storage facilities to maximize their online presence. We offer progressive websites, targeted digital advertising, and online rental software, helping facilities like yours gain visibility, convert more renters, and generate revenue. Enjoy the webinar.
Hello, everyone, and welcome in. Thank you for joining us for another version of the Storage Group's The Megabyte. Today, we are talking about how to capture more rentals without breaking your operations during peak season. We are in peak season. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Jessica Johnson. I'm the Director of Marketing for the Storage Group. And a couple quick housekeeping items before we get started today. We want you to interact with us, and the way you can do that is through the comment section. So if you can go ahead and start putting your name and where you're from in there. That way we can get to know who our audience is today. Another thing, we're going to ask some poll questions here in the beginning of the session, and we would really like your feedback on these poll questions. So if you could take a moment and take a look at those as we release those and answer those accordingly, that would be super appreciated. But I want to get us kicked off and started, so I'm going to introduce our first speaker with us today. I have Alex Herbs from EquiCap. Hi, Alex.
I didn't realize I get to go first. Now I'm a little nervous. I don't know
You shouldn't be.
what I need to say here and see what happens. Thank you for having me, Jess. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
What would you like in my intro? Anything fancy? Are we doing the song and dance number, or what are we doing?
I want the tap dance number. And hey, for those that don't know, Alex does a mean self-storage aerobics class. He can show you how to pull a door open and all the fun things. But Alex, tell us what you've been in the industry for a while. Your family has, you own storage. Now you're on the brokerage side. You have quite a history for a young man. You're part of a YLG, Young Leaders. Like, tell us about you.
Yes, and you got to show up to the Missouri Self-Storage Association annual meeting for the storage aerobics. So there's my already punchline right there. But no, Alex Herbs, I am with EquiCap Commercial. It is the self-storage brokerage here based in the Midwest. Mostly handle kind of the central time zone, anywhere Missouri, Illinois, Southeast, Midwest, etc. I'm based out of St. Louis. Prior to being in the brokerage world, I was with a third-party management group that I helped found. Did that for 7 or 8 years, running about 60 to 70 facilities across the Midwest and Northeast. Really enjoyed that process. And then prior to that, and still today, I personally own about 9 locations across Missouri and Illinois. So excited to talk about some of the different operational tips and tricks that both I've seen myself at our facilities and what other owners are doing for the, owners and buyers, sellers that we represent. And then I'm also the president of the Missouri Self-Storage Owners Association and on the board of the Illinois Self-Storage Association.
Awesome. I love hearing it. You're a busy bee like me, it sounds like. So thank you for being here with us today and carving out some time for us. We truly appreciate having you here.
Excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Alex. Next up, I have Miss Cynthia Ashby. Cindy's been in the industry a long time. Let's get Cindy up here. Hi, Cindy.
Hello, Jess.
Cindy, do the same thing Alex did, but you've got a couple more years on Alex that you can talk about.
The aerobics thing. I mean, come on. I know. How do you follow Alex? My goodness.
I know, right?
I'm just wondering what he does in his spare time. So
hopefully sleep.
Absolutely. Well, it is peak season, so we're all just a little bit busy right now. And yeah, 30 years and I've done it all. Started as a manager and worked my way up one step at a time to the level of COO, and finally said, I'm done with everybody else telling me what to do. So I thought and went off into consulting. And now it isn't just a boss telling me what to do. It's every single client I have. And there's a mirror on my wall over here. And let me just tell you, she is mean. She does not cut me any slack at all. So we do a lot of auditing, a lot of due diligence, do exit strategies, and help management companies to really get up and going, internal management companies. So when they decide they're ready to bring all of everything they've got in-house, we help them set that up. So we're busy right now.
That's a good problem to have. And Cindy, you've been on boards before. You're involved with the North Carolina Association pretty heavily.
Yeah, thank you for saying that. I've actually been there since 2011, so it kind of becomes part of who I am, and I forget sometimes that's a thing.
Yeah.
And then I've been on the executive board since 2015, been president, and am now treasurer for the third time, which makes it a lot of fun. And just so everybody out there knows, if anybody is in North Carolina and has the kind of a rough patch that they're going through right now, we are one of the only states that offers assistance. So we have a fund set up to help managers when times just aren't going well for them. So if you're in North Carolina, visit the North Carolina Self-Storage Association. Your store, your owner does not need to be a member for you to participate in that.
I did not know that about the association. That is very interesting. And I'm so very happy to hear that. Wow. Very cool.
Emergency relief. And we've helped managers with everything from cars to finding a new place to live when a buyer came in and kicked them out of the apartment. So,
well, wow. Well, if you are a owner or operator or manager in North Carolina, you need to reach out to Cindy and that association and get connected. Cindy, thanks for being here with us today. I'm going to bring up our final speaker, and certainly not last but not least, Scott McLaughlin. He's a fellow FSSA board member with me and a past president just like I am. Scott, tell us your story.
It's good to see you. Thanks for having me. So I actually started in the self-storage business back in 1998. I think I made $4.50 an hour, but I got a free apartment, and that was huge.
That's cool.
As a young man, I think it was like 9 years old. No,
yeah.
that was the whole key that kind of started the career. And now I've been with Century since 2019. There was a stint of about 10 years in the middle in multifamily space. So that piece really helped as we have seen the amount of technology flood into the self-storage sector here as of late, has really helped kind of link back to what other industries are doing. And it's, refreshing to see.
Yeah.
Century's been around for 25 years, a little bit more than 25 years. We're South Florida based, but we manage properties in currently 5 states. Over the years, we've managed over 100 assets, and we're kind of a boutique full service provider, consulting, feasibility studies, market studies, brokerage firm, and of course, third-party management. Most of our clients come by way of, a 3-year relationship in the development phase of a project before we get to the point of management. And so we have about a third of our properties are, what we own and operate. 2/3 are third-party management.
Very cool. Well, thank you for that background. And yeah, you guys have been around a long time, and I'm excited for this session today. So I'm going to bring all the speakers back up for a quick second and we'll get started here. But like I said earlier, I wanted to start, and I'm putting this out into the universe of the comments section. I'll pop it up on screen. I want to hear from the audience. What's your biggest operational challenge during peak rental season? If you could answer that in the chat for us, that would be awesome. We would love to hear from you. But while we're waiting for the audience to answer, Alex, when you're in peak season, what happens operationally where you get like, oh boy, we probably should have been more prepared for this?
It's funny is I'm going to go right to, maybe a very specific scenario. So maybe it doesn't apply to everybody. I personally own a location right next to University of Missouri or Mizzou's campus. And I always joke that always is the trigger for me on what, peak season starts, because all the crazy moms start renting units online and trying to get their kids in, and they all want 5x10s. And we really do, in the last, I was going to say probably 35 days, maybe since the beginning of April, we've done probably about 125 move-ins, just at that site with that manager alone. And that always kind of sets the tone for us. And the rest of our company is, hey, this manager's there. She's doing her part to keep her facility going. But then, hey, all the other managers, you guys got to assist because the call volume's up. There's more people helping in. And I think that's kind of the key is, we really pride ourselves on having it, all of our locations are interconnected so that they can be able to assist each other. So it's not just one manager on one island. So it's really getting into, hey, everybody needs to be ready. The rentals are going to be starting. The college students, we always say the college kids are going crazy here, but then everywhere else, it's the same thing. Is you get some college student overflow, you get people starting to move, you just get, you're almost planning for it in Q1 for Q2 to start here and saying, hey, now we're in the thick of it. There's going to be more calls. There's going to be more lead follow-up. There's going to be more traffic on your sites, most likely, just because it's nicer weather now where we're at here in the Midwest, is more people are going to be visiting their sites. So it's just kind of setting that tone with managers or on-site contacts that you better be ready because there's just going to be a lot more activity in all sorts of different ways around your property.
Yeah, especially for like a newer manager, right? That's never experienced the seasonality shift in storage. Maybe they came in during what our slow season is, and then all of a sudden the phones start ringing, people start walking in the door, online rentals are coming through like crazy, and they're like, they have no idea what to do, or they know what to do, they just haven't done it at that velocity yet, right? So they panic and freak out. That kind of leads to my next question. And audience, I'm going to give you instructions again because you didn't listen the first time and no one answered. So we're going to try this again. I have a second question and I want the audience to answer. I'm going to pop this up here. But Alex, and I'm going to pass this over to Cindy. How far in advance do you begin to prepare for peak season? Alex said like Q1, we're prepping for Q2. You got to at least be a couple weeks out at least, but what's ideal for you that you've seen, Cindy?
My goal is always to be Alex. So I started preparing for the 2027 peak season yesterday. And I sincerely mean that, because for me, once peak season starts, I'm in there taking notes. I'm directing leadership, take notes. You don't get to mess with anything right now. You don't get to change somebody's habits. We have prepared, we have trained for this. So now it's all about taking the notes and how we can be better prepared for next year. Because once peak season hits, we are just cheerleaders and just run and fetch it. Like, I just want to make sure they have the tools and the resources and are encouraged and motivated to get the job done and to stay in the game, right? So mine actually started a month ago when your students started moving in at that location. It's like, all right, just shut up, take notes, just take notes. What are we going to change? How do we help them for next year? And I think Jess is frozen.
Jess might be frozen. I'll go ahead and chime in. Alex,
Oh, we got him, but she left us on our own. This is the best part. Now she's abandoning us.
This is where we get to talk about she's not recording.
Yeah.
And I think, Alex's example is a prime example of how quickly things ramp up. And it's something that we know is coming, kind of to Cindy's point, and being ready for it ahead of time. And also looking back at what could we have done better as far as the notes, year over year to kind of improve. And I would add to that, I think ultimately you want to be ready for peak season all year round. It's going to be easier to touch on the things that can go sideways when the peak season comes. And I always kind of go back to the 4 Ps, just making sure that the basics are covered. Your people, price, product, and promotion, get that in line. I mean, that way, by the time the season ramps up, you've got your folks paying attention to those details, because those things are going to be what starts to slip when you're renting 120 units in a month.
Yeah.
And just getting them in that habit ahead of time really, I think, makes up the difference for the things that are going to happen once they just simply don't have the time. And, keeping eyes focused on follow-up times, and just, overall cleanliness. It's a basic tenet of our business, but your sites have to look good, feel safe, and well lit and secure. And so you want to put your eyes on that stuff constantly, so that when it turns loose, it's not catastrophe.
Saying that, Scott, makes me think of like, what's the last thing? Like, you've gone through your entire checklist. What should you probably do every day, but definitely make sure of? And that's that the website is working and the QR code that's on site in your absence is working, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's something as simple as like taking your checklist before peak season and just walking through it and making sure like you can check everything off on that. I love here, Cody from the audience says marketing push starts in February. So by May, I have that head start and just have to focus on converting. That's great. And yeah, I'm so glad Cody said that. And I want to touch on that. And we're going to go into some marketing questions. You don't just turn on an ad and like get phone calls, right? Like that takes time for Google to learn the ad, Google to process the ad, Google to deploy the ad to the eyeballs, hopefully that you want renting from you, right? So you have to have an early start on the advertising side or you're going to be behind. So with that being said, what are you seeing as like your best performing marketing channels during peak season? Scott, I'll start with you. What have you guys seen at Sentry?
That's a really good question. And I think our industry is getting better about answering what those top marketing channels are. There's some difficulty now. And quite frankly, we're working through it at Sentry to better hone in on, from the time somebody clicks one of our various campaigns all the way through to the time that they lease, and then being able to apply an average length of stay to that to really know. But typically we see, because we're in such dense, urban markets, Miami, South Florida, Fort Lauderdale, typically our pay-per-click campaigns are generated, but they're costly, most definitely. So we're always running various social media campaigns, paid campaigns. We're still doing old school approaches like Craigslist, and we're seeing some success in specific markets with Spotify audio ads.
Okay.
On a dime. And they're geofenced in such a way that the people listening to Spotify when they drive past the store hear the ad. And we've actually seen some traction when the initial goal was just casting that wide net, right?
Yeah.
Knowing that it's all about brand awareness. They may not need us for 6 months, but those are kind of the channels that we really focus on.
That's awesome. Yeah, I get asked a lot just as a marketer, like what do you suggest? And obviously search ads tend to be the best, right? But I love hearing that you're trying like this variety approach, because depending on that location and where you are, I mean, as we all know, this is a very hyper localized marketing effort, right? So what works in that, where the Spotify ads are working for you right now, Scott, might not work where my locations are, right? But at least you're testing different channels of communicating with potential buyers. I want to give you guys some cool stats. And I want you to think about this, because we're talking a lot of AI these days, right? AI is here. We actually have a brand new product we're going to release next week. I'm so excited to release this. But people are searching now outside of Google. They're searching in ChatGPT. They're searching in Claude. ChatGPT reached 365 billion searches in 2 years. That took Google 11 years to do. So look at the velocity and speed of these AI search engines that are coming, that are here, right? 75% of people today, more people today than this time last year, are utilizing AI for their search. So they're leaving Google, they're going into chat, they're going into Gemini, Perplexity, things like that. So like, you need to be aware of this. And we're going to talk about a couple more interesting stats here in a minute as it relates to all this AI and visibility. But Cindy, what are you seeing your best channels are during peak season?
Well, I am very proud to say I'm not a Google fan. I've never been a big pay-per-click fan. I am not in your top 50, top 100 MSA. So the majority of my clients are in secondary and tertiary markets. And I just refuse to feed the crazy. So I have a client who we've literally stopped the Google spend over the last 7 months and are only behind Extra Space by using Google reviews. Those managers are bonus significantly if that customer posts pictures and makes the customer name. We've taken AI out of the Google responses and allow the manager have the conversation. Debbie, it was great watching you come in and getting to meet you. I'm sorry you dropped that box. Good thing we had the carts there to help you after that, right? Mm-hmm. Just make it personal. I have a client in Belmont, North Carolina, which is right outside of Charlotte, in a top market. He's never given Google a dime. But 4 months ago, while I was in his office doing an audit, gal came in to rent a unit. How'd you hear about us? On chat. And chat actually reads those reviews. So it's not sponsored. You are on equal ground with all the big boys there. Nobody's paying for it yet, right? But what my hope is that he has 7 years of reviews, over 20 every month, good reviews saying great things about him. How does anybody jump in and pay to bump him out of there? So I am all about the review process and doing everything you can in the grassroots marketing, at least in secondary and tertiary markets for sure.
Am I allowed to ask a question to Cindy? Is this allowed, Jess?
Yes.
I'm gonna.
No, speakers can't ask other speakers questions, Alex.
Okay, perfect. I wanted to make sure because again, I'm taking notes here. I'm like Spotify audio ads. That's awesome. I didn't even know you could really do that. So I'm learning something from Scott. But Cindy, somebody asked me. I think it was just at one of the Arkansas show a couple weeks ago. Is really on this because it seems to be the hot topic. Is yes, everybody knows Google reviews are big. Reviews are big. How do you really emphasize getting those at a remotely managed site where maybe you don't have a manager sitting there or you don't have somebody that can say, hey, I'm going to walk you through given the review process. What have you seen as successful at remote or maybe, not traditionally staffed offices like that?
Believe it or not, the case that I was talking about earlier had a lot of that in there because it was the absence of that actually hurt them significantly. Mm-hmm. That's where I don't care what you call them, your hub manager, your boots on the ground, your facility services agent that's there, whatever they are, and that district manager, to me, if I've learned anything, marketing a remotely managed facility is more difficult and more challenging than when there's actually staff present. So we have to I use a lot of GigSmart and beyond pleased with GigSmart, but I will hire a GigSmart worker to pass out flyers to make that Chamber of Commerce presentation to do whatever we have to do. So we're doing the same things. It's just with limited staff. And if the boots on the ground person is capable of doing that, but then your hub manager, it's imperative that they are following up and you use the same exact thing that a manager would. We're finding if they will say, by the way, we're running a challenge this month and there's a great prize that me and my family would like. Could you help me and leave me a review? We're not paying them for the review. We're making it personal, but it goes a long way to customer service because now they are even connected to a person at a remote site.
That's awesome. No, I mean, that seems to be I think it's always funny in the marketing world. It's so easy for if you're in front of somebody, you can make it personal. It's a lot easier typically to get Google reviews. But when we kind of push into this new storage era of rent online, rent quickly, you don't need to talk to anybody. I mean, it's great. It's like, well, great. It's not really very personal. Do I need to leave a review for that? I mean, I did the work myself. It's kind of like a self-checkout. It's like, okay, great. What review am I going to leave about customer service when I was the service?
Well, and that's what we tell them, though. They made the process so seamless. I didn't need anybody, but they were quick to follow up and make sure that I understood, that I was able to access carts, dollies, whatever, and that there weren't any problems. So even remotely, there was customer service.
Yeah, I think you need to build that into your workflow if you are remote operations, right? Some immediate follow-up. How was your, transaction from the time you pulled up? Did the QR code work, or, did the kiosk work, or whatever mechanisms you have in place to get the rental? Was the online rental process easy? Were your items in the unit if you purchased items through an online store? Like there's just a different operational workflow there. And you really, because in the still staffed environment, you've got a human there to like handle some of this stuff, right? In the unmanned world, you really need to make sure all this is buttoned up. You have a QR code that's not going to your website, posted all over your facility, you're dead in the water from day one. So again, you've got to be going through these operational checks to make sure everything still works. We've seen a lot of operators make the poor mistake of they got a QR code, but it was through a free service that after like 90 days, the QR code expired and they didn't realize that. And they thought it was still a live QR code. And unfortunately it wasn't. So you have to be checking these things. I want to talk about speed to lead when capturing more rentals. Like this is super important, right? I know within the facilities I manage, the managers, they've got 5 minutes if it's during operational hours to get back to that lead. And they better have a really good reason as to why, like they were on site giving a site tour or something was going on that prevented that from happening. But I mean, I have a particular instance. I placed a reservation last February of 2025 in a test environment. I was testing this facility. I still haven't received a phone call back on that reservation. So that's not what you want to do. So let's talk about the importance of that. Alex, I'll start with you, speed to lead and how critical it is. And then maybe go beyond that, some systems you can put in place as safeguards to make sure you're not losing leads or not addressing leads in a timely fashion.
I think we've hit a couple of the key points here, and I'm going to go into the AI and the Chat GPT, Claude example, et cetera. Today's society keeps getting, I'm going to say worse and worse, but I get maybe better and better. Instant gratification is what everybody wants. They want the answer. They want it quickly as possible. Somebody was joking is 20 years ago, we'd sit there and go, I wonder what the answer to that is. And when I get home, I'll get to my computer and I'll maybe Google it at that point in time. Now I wonder what the answer is. And I'm going to tell Siri, Amazon, whatever, and I get an answer within 10 seconds. Sorry, now my Siri and probably everybody's Siri went off because I said that. Sorry. But and so it's interesting. It's the same exact thing. It sounds so stupid when you say it like this, but it's the same thing for storage. They want instant gratification. They want to have, oh crap, I forgot that I need to rent a unit this weekend because I forgot I'm moving. I literally had somebody tell me that. I forgot I was moving this weekend. I was like, I don't know how you kind of forget that. So they were getting their U-Haul truck, they were getting whatever. And they literally told me, I went to Chat GPT and it said, here's how you can quickly get a truck. And here's the fastest one in the area to get a rental done at, because they didn't really, for lack of a better word, they didn't really care so much about the customer service. They want to know how fast I can get this thing done so I can get moving on this. And so it's interesting because with that said, you need to make sure your systems are in place to do that. Is your website able to capture that lead and data as soon as they get distracted because something else is going on? So we talk about the lead capture that's just happening when you're typing your information in. I think it's the other way. If they call you today, it's crazy to me. We're in the process, looking at some different AI call center options. Instead of, we thought we were really cutting edge with the, press 1 for this, press 2 for that. People don't even want to do that anymore because they don't want to listen that long. They don't want to listen and go, oh, well, I guess I'm current customer, press 2, or I'm new customer, press 3. They don't even want to deal with that. So these AI call centers are pretty cool that you can literally, they're capturing, you call, it's the first thing they answer is, hi, I'm Jessica, how can I help you? And they can give you a lot of information and you can get that back. So all of your systems, whether it's phone, internet, your software that has automations to follow up with this, the customer wants to be done quick and efficiently. They don't want to talk to anybody. They don't want to do this. They want to make this not a worry of theirs. So are you accurately capturing it as quickly as possible, because they get distracted very easily? And then the latter of that is, is your management team, whether it's, again, a hub manager, a property manager, a district, whatever word you want to use, how quickly are they actually following up with that personal service there? Yeah, we know an automated text message is cool and it'll say, oh yeah, you forgot to move in, keep going. Yeah, but if somebody actually calls you, if Cindy calls you and says, hey, can I help you with your process? They go, oh yeah, actually I had some questions and that's why I stopped renting, because I wasn't sure about the answers yet. They give you the answers, you finish the move in and go from there. So it's something in the brokerage world we call time is of the essence. It's literally of the essence. You have to keep that customer focused the entire way through to get them to, maybe not the closing table, but the rental table there with that. So,
that's our close, Alex. The closing table.
It's a closing table. It's closing process takes 90 days. The sales process takes 90 seconds in theory. There you go.
Yeah. And Alex, you need to oh, sorry. Go ahead, Cindy. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that is so good. I'm not sure anybody could top that, but I would really love to know how Scott manages to get the managers to respond that quickly and effectively.
Yeah. How do you incentivize those managers to respond? Here's what I tell them that they do. They're going on a performance review and they're going to get fired if they don't answer in 5 minutes. That's how I do it with mine.
Therein lies the
Jess has no managers left. Anyway, okay.
Yeah. Firings will continue until morale improves. All right.
I'm going to beat you into shape or not. No, I'm just kidding. I don't do it that way. That's a joke, y'all. It's a joke.
No, that's an excellent question and an important part of what we're talking about. Alex talked about the technology that helps make sure that response time is quick, because let's face it, in today's environment, the attention spans are very, very short, and we have the ability with these extremely intelligent computers in our pocket to move very quickly. So you have to have the automated pieces in play. The nice thing there is that there are some very cost-efficient methods to do that with vendors in our space. But from the personal perspective, I think it's very important not to lose sight of teaching your site teams. The way I like to refer to it is help them understand who really pays their paycheck. It's not me. It's not the owners. It's the customers that they serve. And on top of that, helping them understand that what they're doing is extremely important on what is always a crappy day anytime you've ever moved. I've never had fun doing it. So that can be a real difference maker for that person. And it's an opportunity to shine from a customer service perspective. We all know that we experience every day less than adequate customer service just in our general lives. But then tying back for them to really financially understand what that one extra lease that you capture in a month, what that means to the value of the asset as a whole. And I think when you tie all of those things together, it kind of gets to Cindy's question. If you can't use those types of approaches to get somebody invested in understanding that I've got 5 minutes to follow on that lead and it's uber critical, then you might have a different kind of chitty chat to have, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And then, with workflows, like we're a website development company, like we're tracking abandonments, right? Because again, Scott just said, attention spans are low or distractions are high, more like it. I could very well be wanting to complete that rental and I get a phone call. So make sure that whoever your provider is has an abandonment tracking system and some sort of trigger. Like ours is they get an email with a coupon code to try to entice them. And we get like 50% response rates on those abandonment emails. So if you're getting 1 and 2 people that drop off that actually come back and purchase from you, like those are pretty good statistics, right? We also track the abandonment where abandonments are happening in the rental process. So if you have maybe more of a lengthier rental process, maybe it's a couple pages they have to get through and they keep dropping off on page 3 or page 4, something's probably technically not making sense there for the consumer if they keep dropping off in the same places. So we try to see for consistencies in abandonment to see if we need to go in and refine like the checkout process or whatever that may be. So Scott, I'm going to pass this one over to you first to start with. This call volumes come in, but maybe the manager, like I said, is on another call or they're out giving a site tour. Like, what's your backup plan, or what is your plan when call volumes increase? You have like a call center that can step in. Is it a answering service? Is it an answering machine? What is it?
So like there's a ton of ways to solve that issue at the site level. And with the technology that continues to evolve, you can do it in-house, you can do it externally. Currently, we employ a call center that gives us, while we're in the office 53 hours a week, most stores 7 days a week, in markets where every store and every competitor around us is staffed, we roll 100% of our calls over to our call center, so that our operational efficiency is now 105 hours per week. That's going to continue to improve as AI voice comes in and starts grabbing every single one of those calls 24/7. So that's really taking that call volume, putting it in the hands of folks who are sitting there doing nothing but selling storage or answering questions about storage units, really then helps the site team go back to, hey, when that task list beeps that you've got a new lead, you've got one thing to do right now, and that's follow up quickly, make it personable, and make that phone call to make that customer service and make the transaction stand out, even if 95% of it is done virtually.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cindy, this one's for you, and thank you for all those answers, Scott. We've got for a industry that traditionally was behind in technology and automation. Wow, we sure aren't behind anymore, right? In fact, I think we're all trying to catch up. Sorry, I knew Biggie was going to do that. My assistant's here, y'all. He would like to know that he wants everyone to know that he's working. But during peak season, so all of this technology costs money, right? And I train on this a lot to owners. I'm like, listen, I work for a tech company. Some of this stuff is really cool, but don't get wowed by it if it's not going to do something and move the needle within your organization, right? So Cindy, what have you seen as far as tech out there that you have brought in to any of your operations that have helped you during peak season, or in fact, even maybe given you an ROI at the end of it?
Probably getting rid of it and going back to maps behind the desk with push pins and ledger cards. I can laugh at that.
Yeah.
Are you saying you're getting rid of software and you're going to go back to the color coded? You have to color in the box if it's rented or whatever.
Oh goodness!
Well, what can I say? I mean, I can't tell you how frequently I would say, "Can I just get a yellow page ad again?" This is just too much, and in a lot of ways, it is. So I think if we've done anything, it's starting to pare it down a little bit where we have managers on site, but utilizing tablets has been huge to help them take out and do their walkthrough on the tablet, to be able to respond to a tenant on that tablet. For maintenance at the remote locations, everything they do is on a tablet. We're able to actually see the facility and have them do a walkthrough. So I know for sure there's not mattresses behind unit number 5 or whatever. So that, I love the technology in our video cameras today, but we can get so caught up in technology that we lose that personal touch. And to Scott's point, moving day is not fun. And we all know, the whole series of D's that get us in. There's some level of devastation, divorce, death, whatever, that brings these people in. And when all they get to do is touch technology, it's hard. It's hard. So yeah, I love it and I hate it all at the same time.
I was going to say, I'm going to add on, Cindy, I think you made some phenomenal points there, because at what point is technology the law of diminishing returns there? At some point, because that's what can also set you apart as much as possible too, in some ways, is yes, we love technology. I think everybody on this call loves technology in different ways and think it can really support what it is. But I laugh because I was helping an owner who was very, I'm going to say, technology forward. It had probably every bell and whistle you could possibly have on the facility and this and that. And it was funny because I said, have you rented a unit with yourself? And he kind of looked at me funny, like, what do you mean? It's like, well, I said, you go in here. He's like, yeah, if you do this, you rent this unit. And once you rent it, you get texted a code and the code comes in and you get the code and the code goes to the unit number and it goes to, like, you're not making it very easy. I know it's automation for you as the owner and you're getting some stuff streamlined here, but that's not really, is that really helping the customer service process there? So it's kind of funny is I don't think any of us are saying don't go technology, but make sure you're testing all your products and where they fit in, because I'll go back to when I started in storage about 12 years ago at this point, when we bought our first facility. We were very tech forward at that time because we were doing online rentals. You know, it was 2016 and we had online rental capabilities and everybody thought we were crazy. And it's funny, since 2016, it's very easy when you were kind of already technology forward then. And we've just stacked more products on top of each other. Like Jess just said there, it's almost like you keep adding more stuff and you're adding, and there's a lot of cool things, but it's like, at what point do you need all this? Or at what point is it duplicate processes here? Because now let's go into what really makes some sense for you on the property. What was really funny, technology that was simple, to your point with the iPads. We had customers at one of our sites, the thing they wanted badly is because they had their kids there when they were moving, they just wanted Wi-Fi on the property. That was the simplest thing they wanted because they wanted their kids to be able to connect. We put Wi-Fi in a couple sites and it helped us for example, yes, our managers can now have an iPad anywhere on the site without doing anything. We also could then connect our HVAC systems and some other stuff and door stuff, et cetera. It was a little thing. It didn't cost us anything but a repeater basically on the site and, you know, some things. They thought that was the coolest amenity, and it actually helped us in the long run because we had more efficiency on the expense side now with different things. So it's like, listen to your customers and what they want there. Does that mean you have to go back to only having a property manager who just answers the phone and that's the only thing? No, but it's finding that balance in between with that.
Eric, Alex, you raise a very good point, because I've now spoken with a few owners that have learned or seen, let's just say in the last year, that the cost to operate a remote facility is surpassing what it was when they just had a manager on site, because everything has a subscription and now everything has gone to a number of units fee. And by the time you add the chatbot here and the this there, I also think that it has made managers and perhaps some of us even lazy. And I have looked at the receivables when we were using the auto text, auto email, robocall to get that money in and not having a real person call until after day 30. Well, guess what? They ignore all of that. And we're watching receivables climb at the stores. We took that tech away and said, nope, we're not going to use that for collections beyond the very first two. The receivable problem stopped. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I do think that there is a balance to all of that for sure, Alex.
It's interesting. It's so funny because I'm just going to really quickly add, exact scenario happened to me, Cindy. Apparently it must have, you know, I never even got an alert for, it was some, you know, doctor's appointment or something I went to. It said I owed a bill. I got a robo text. The first thing I did yesterday was delete it because I thought it was spam and I ignored it. Why would I even care? It doesn't matter. Well, then I got the bill in the mail yesterday and I'm like, oh, actually I do owe something, but the auto text was going before I even got the actual bill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, holy crap. So sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
no, you're right.
I'm renting with someone right now, and I just got the robo text that bill is due, but bill's not due yet. It's still, so.
Yep.
But yeah, there's
just cutting through the noise. Cut through the noise. Remember what it is that we do. I mean, operations is very, very measurable, and it's based on the revenue and how well we do against prior year and things like that. What drives the revenue? Renting units. That's the fundamental of what we do. So use that to kind of cut through what's cool and shiny versus what is really going to help you capture the lead quickly and efficiently, and then be able to make the maximum amount that you can out of that opportunity, and don't let any of them, don't leave them on the table. Essentially, that's
Does anyone remember? No, you may not. But I do, because I'm that old. When microwave ovens first came out, there was this great commercial out there, and it was a woman standing in her kitchen going, "I have more time for loving since I got my microwave oven." I am not kidding you. And
I don't even want to know the puns that we can come up with for storage. Okay.
I remember.
I'm going somewhere with that as Alex turns 15 shades of red. But
no, Alex is going. I wasn't. How long ago was that, Cindy? I don't remember that. I don't know a time without microwave.
It had to have been 1972.
Yeah.
No, Alex was not alive.
All of technology, if you think about it, every time it comes out, it's supposed to be making things easier for us. It's supposed to be simplifying our lives in some way. And yet it has not. Working with numerous clients, I don't know where we're at. Is that on ClickUps? Is that on Monday? Is this in an email? Was this in a chat thread? And we work harder. We work harder trying to make it easier.
Yeah, I mean, I just did a roundtable last week at the Northeast Association show on this. It was like the tech stack and what operators get wrong. It is very individualized, and it was so cute. This owner has 60 doors. He goes, "Can I ask you what a tech stack is?" And I said, "You don't need it. You're good. Whatever your process is, just keep on doing it. You got to." It was so cute. But anyway, there's a lot that you can get wowed by. I'd say from a tech perspective, you need to evaluate it from two different angles. The customer service side, the customer facing, how the consumer interacts with it, and then what it can do for you on the back end for you as an owner or you as a district manager to help make your job easier, not harder. These are tools to help make it easier. If there's barriers and friction and it's hard for you and it's hard for the consumer, it's probably not the tech that you need. And there's a lot of tech out there. However, I do want to pose this question. I know you all use tech in what you do. What is one thing you absolutely think should be automated before busy season starts? Is it calls? Is it a chat bot? Like, what needs to be automated, you think, before busy season? Scott, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think because you can do this quickly and inexpensively, you need to be able to make sure that your lead response time is covered. And so if it's something as simple as starting with a chatbot on your website to make sure that you have the ability to capture the contact card quickly and make sure that they get, that potential customer gets a text or an email or something in their hands quickly. That is something that's very, very valuable. And then when you bolt onto that, abandoned cart recovery functionality and such, whereby you're saving, 40 or 50% of those that bounce out of that cart, get them back in and make the purchase. I think that's a quick, easy, critical piece of the puzzle that then when you bolster it with timely personal response from someone within the company at the site level or otherwise, then you're just kind of bookending both sides of a better chance of success that way.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I'll jump in here. I think if this is like, hey, what is your action item today? I'm going to even rephrase your question, Jess. What is your action item today of something that you can make sure is set up for peak season? Because we're in it right now. What can you do? I would really give everybody, if you're just sitting here at your computer, you hang up on this call, go audit your own management software. I'm still shocked to this day on, I'm going to say the amount of owners who just have their automations, I don't want to say off, but maybe they didn't even know about it. They didn't even know, hey, if a lead just pops in my thing, it'll automatically text them a link. Are your text links going out properly? Are your, text links for a move-in or reservation going out? Like some of these softwares have gotten much better where they can give you certain timelines on when these texts go out. And I think it's interesting as being in the brokerage world and seeing, behind the scenes of a lot of different softwares, a lot of owners don't have these triggered properly. They get the lead. They somebody emails you on the website. It's not even triggering properly. So the texts aren't going, your emails aren't going, your task list notifications that tell either you or your manager, hey, you probably should follow up with this person, is not working. So if there's one thing to automate, to your question, Jess, is make sure your software is working like it's supposed to. I mean, this is just going into, go put a lead on your own website. Are you getting a follow-up text or a follow-up email? Are you, when you do a reservation, is it happening? Just a little bit of auditing and just what you have. You're already paying for the service. Make sure it's set up to flow properly, because it's very easily, again, it could be something as simple as, like you mentioned with the QR codes earlier. Those QR codes might be on a 90-day subscription. How many times do these software companies tweak something in your system and all your text messages turn off? Or whatever it is like that. So that's easy automation flow you need to have set up today that needs to probably get checked continuously there.
Yeah. Cindy, you do a lot with the due diligence side and audits, and you're looking at a lot of metrics and analyzing metrics. And we, for those out there, KPIs, it's a term, key performance indicator metrics. During peak season, what reports should they absolutely be pulling and looking at? Like, what are those hot buttons that really give them a gauge to the health of their business?
Well, I definitely, just pulling it out of their software, following those leads and linked to rental is important. But watching your occupancy statistics report, knowing what you really have, what units are moving, which ones aren't. But then I like to pull that occupancy history report, because sometimes I'm panicked this month. Oh my gosh, I'm sitting on 20. Oh, wait a minute. They didn't rent until June last year. So it may not be an issue. So you can find some relief in that. And you can see where things are and aren't moving. One other thing that I've learned to what we opened with, or near the beginning, was on the AI and on Google. And I have also learned that if you just have a few stores, you're not working with a revenue management provider, somebody big, or you don't have a revenue manager in-house, get in there and change your rates. I don't care if it's $1 up today and $1 down in 2 days. It is velocity, and that is moving that arrow up. So stay in tune with your pricing with those competitors, however you're pulling those rates. Change your website up and know your occupancy. What's moving? What isn't? If you're doing nothing but renting 10 by 20s, 10 by 30s, they're almost full, and you're sitting on a handful of 10 by 10s, let's get cracking and make some conversions, right? Let's make this work. So that's where I need to focus.
And if you're not at the level necessarily where you might need a revenue management system, at least employ or find a system that can quickly scrape online competitor data and rates. We have a product called Market Intel. It's very similar to Store Track, if people in the industry know what those products are, where you can literally go into our dashboard, our system within a 1, 3, 5, whatever, 25-mile radius, I think it goes up to. I can see, and I mean, I was looking at a client account the other day. They were 55% lower than the person in their 1 mile for 10 by 10s. And there were 79 available 10 by 10s in the 5 mile radius. I'm like, dude, you got to increase your price. Like, you might think that that's an acquisition strategy to get them in the door, but think of how long it will take you to even get them to street rate. It's going to take you several rate increases just to get there. Like, so don't don't give it away. I mean, there's way better acquisition strategies out there too than giving away the farm, I'll say. And that leads me to this question, and we can go around the table because I'm sure you all have something to say on this. What's the biggest missed revenue opportunity during peak season? Is it they forgot? Here's one I just went through the other day. I rented for my daughter. She's moving. And the manager at the counter said, "You have homeowners or renters insurance, right?" I certainly do, but that's not the way I would pose that question. If I'm trying to sell a tenant insurance or tenant protection program within the facility, I would reverse engineer that and say, "Hey, we have these great products and they protect you in this way." So that was a missed revenue opportunity, big time. And like, that was just me. How many more, tenants did he say that to and lose that revenue opportunity? What are some other big ones you guys see?
I'll jump in based on that example, Jess. And a lot of times there's things happening, kind of to Alex's point about things your software can do that you don't even know about. That may be true if you're working with a third-party tenant protection plan or insurance provider, but they have the functionality and integration to do auto-enroll practices that really close that door. Naturally, you're going to want to track the KPIs of how many, what is your closing ratio of tenant protection plan sales to new rentals. The same thing holds true on your retail. If you're selling retail, when you track those things over time, you may see where maybe you've got coaching to do with someone because they obviously just haven't made it part of their habit. But at the same time, you've backed it up with where you can with technology to make sure that in today's environment, with as much of those tools that are out there, carrying a 40 or 50% penetration rate on your tenant protection plan at the facility level is fundamentally different than if you're at 80 or 85%. And there's tools there to make sure that your best salesperson doesn't need the backup, and your ones that need coaching and experience have the backup to make sure you don't leave all that on the table while you spend 90 days getting them up to par.
Yeah. It took everything in my soul not to coach him and act like I was his owner. I was like, do I tell him I'm in the business or do I just leave it alone? I just left it alone.
To that point right there, that is one area where remote management has truly helped in the tenant protection insurance penetration because it's taking the personality out of it. So they don't want to push that. They want to come off and be your friend. And when you remove that, it's very rare that you will see a remotely managed property that isn't at a minimum 85% penetrated.
Right.
So
it makes sense. They've worked it into their workflow process of how they do the checkout and all that stuff. And all the, like most of the systems have that, right? Our checkout process, selecting insurance is part of that process. But yeah, what an experience that was. Alex, any missed opportunities from revenue you can shout out?
I got two. I'll be quick ones. I know we're towards the end here. And it's very much echoing a few of their points already. Revenue management is maybe not even a missed opportunity, but something to truly stay on top of when it comes to your sites and where they're at. Because I know some people look at their rates once a week or something going on. I use that college example. We were changing rates by the hour. I mean, jokingly, but not. We're like, hey, they're renting no matter what. Let's push it $3 more. And 2 hours later, we had 2 more rentals. Let's try $4 more. And it was interesting because I really coach owners on this in the brokerage world here. I get a lot of owners that'll come to me and say, "Oh, I'm 70% full and I hate it." And to Cindy's point already, and you're going to go, well, what does 70% really mean? Like, let's go look at this. And you look at it, well, it's because they have a crap ton of 5x10. So all their 5x10s are available, but everything larger and above is completely occupied. So you're 100% full on 10x10s and above, and you're 20% full on 5x10s. That is a missed opportunity where I always tell people, look at your revenue per unit group. Like truly, like if your unit groups are looking well, then maybe you do need to raise your rents, but it's only raising rents more aggressive on larger sizes. And yes, the smaller ones don't. It's like the occupancy does not equal revenue. I think that's a pretty clear one, but really looking at it on a per unit category of your availability and abilities there. And then the second one I'm going to add, that this is another one of these fine line type comments here. Watch yourself on the fees. I think fees is this hot topic in the industry, and it seems to be a topic not just in storage, but in a lot of places.
Mm-hmm.
I am all for, we like an admin fee. We like a late fee. I'm even fine with, I've seen some convenience fees because your manager takes a call, etc. Just watch, because people do not like getting, I'm going to say feed out. I don't know if that's a word. I'm going to go with it. Getting feed like crazy. Because it was funny. We were analyzing a site and it was, oh, that's my late fee. That's my lien fee. That's my auction fee. I'm like, I don't think you can even do an auction and a lien fee separately. Okay, whatever. Auction fee, convenience fee, lock rental fee, lock tech fee, credit card fee, etc. I'm like, this little $100 units now become $125, which good kudos to you, Mr. Owner, that you're getting it. But your occupancy is also reflecting, because we had talked about, what is your lead volume? He goes, oh, we only convert like 30% of our leads because, basically everybody was getting scared, it seemed like. It's kind of like when you said, Jess, on page 3, they all dropped off. Well, when they got to the page with the amount of money they're spending because of every fee, they walked away. So it's kind of that balance of, I think everybody on this call probably loves a fee to a point here, but don't trip over $100 to go make an extra $5, or whatever it is there. You're going to hurt yourself right there.
Well, we're talking revenue management. Let's not forget the ECRIs. Don't let that fall away. And also the old adage of pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered. We don't have to have 50% rate increases, 30%. It's okay to keep that small, especially when we start looking with all the prices of whether it's Sparefoot or Google, pay per click. Those acquisition costs that just keeps referencing continue to go up and up and up. So when you've already got a tenant in there at $250 a month and your web rate is $130, do you really need to get $40 more out of them? Can we just settle at 10, 20? They'll be happy. They'll stay, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
I love that you prove why you're one of my soul sisters, Cindy, because I say that adage a lot. Pigs get fed, hogs get slaughtered. I guess it's a Southern saying, but I do love it. And it's true. Audience, stick with us for another 2 minutes, and I promise we're wrapping up. Rapid fire, and then I have some announcements. Rapid fire question for all of you. If you are owner operators, for the owner operators that are on here today, Scott, what is one thing that they absolutely should go look into implementing today to help them get through not only this peak season, but future peak seasons?
Alex kind of touched on it. Go check your software first. Make sure your settings are right. If they are, and you don't have a chat bot on your website, some way to interact that way and capture lead data, then look at doing that. That's inexpensive, quick to deploy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Mm-hmm. Cindy, what's yours?
I'm going to make sure that your calls are being handled promptly and properly. Make sure your messaging is good. So check that.
Yep.
I mean,
Alex,
took mine and admitted that he took mine there on the.
Another one from you, Alex. You're so good. Give us more.
I'm going to say one very quick one here too. We're talking about technology. We're talking about all this stuff. Also, the biggest one I'm going to tell you, don't overlook actually being on your site and being there and doing things. I think that's a huge one. There's all this great technology and all these great things. Technology ain't going to clean up the dirty mattress that somebody left when they pulled it out of their unit and threw it in the driveway. So make sure you're consistently, either whether it's you're on site, whatever, if you have a remotely managed facility, make sure you're consistently, actually at your site being hands-on there, because that is a huge, huge issue of the software and everything can be so cool and streamlined, but nobody likes to show up to a pile of garbage. So there you go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we have run out of time. I know this probably could have been a 2 or 3 hour session. Thank you all so much for being here today and sharing your years of wisdom with us in the audience. We truly appreciate it. I'm going to release you guys real quick. Give a final pageant wave goodbye. Thanks for being here, everyone. And I'm going to stick around just for a couple quick announcements. And this will come on screen behind me in just a minute. If you like today and you want to learn more about the storage group, We have a QR code that you can scan and get to learn more about us as a company. And then we also do these webinar series once a month, and we already have our June 1 lined up. We have a QR code for you to sign up for that one as well. So I'm going to flash those two screens here. And then we have a quick video to show you of one of our products, the Performance Dashboard. So stay.
Welcome to the Storage Group Performance Dashboard, your all-in-one view of facility performance, revenue, and customer engagement. When you log into your custom dashboard, you are able to toggle between day and month view and even select custom date ranges you want to review. The summary page gives you a clear snapshot of how your business is performing. You can see key metrics like total revenue, move-ins, and reservations, all organized in a clean, easy-to-read layout. Visual charts help you spot trends quickly, so you always know what's happening across your facility. With just a click, we move into the revenue section for a deeper financial breakdown. Here, you'll find detailed insights into paid reservations, completed move-ins, total payments, and overall revenue. The dashboard uses clear visuals and color-coded data to make complex numbers simple and actionable. The Occupancy tab gives a quick view of overall occupancy stats with more visual color-coded charts to show if occupancy performance is on track or needs work, so you can quickly make adjustments. The Reviews section gives you a real-time customer sentiment where you can see the mix of positive, neutral, and negative reviews, along with the most recent feedback from your customers. This makes it easy to track satisfaction and quickly respond when needed. You can clearly see how ratings are distributed, with the majority being 5-star reviews, reinforcing strong customer satisfaction. With the Storage Group Performance Dashboard, you have the insights you need to monitor performance, grow revenue, and deliver a better customer experience, all in one place. Interested in learning more? Sign up for a demo today. Visit storageinternetmarketing.com for details.